Hello there, kids. Today we are going to talk about angles. Okay, so but before that, let me explain to you muna some important things, no? Before you're going to further understand about angles. Okay, first things first, you should be familiar about points. Okay, points that can be named as letters. So if you notice, we now have points A and point B. So we have point A and point B. And if you remember when you were younger, you have experienced doing this connect the dots that forms out a certain character, no? All you need to do is just to draw a line from one point to another. For example, yung mga ganyan. But of course, you need to follow proper, no? How to combine them. So for example, from this point going here, connecting the dots, something like that. Okay. So something similar to that. Pero syempre, this is a different thing, no? Again, so these 2 points can be joined together by simply drawing a line. And if you notice now that out of these 2 points, A and B, we were able to form a line. And since we have names for our points, which is A and B, this line will now be called line AB, which can be written as like just AB with a line on top. Okay, it is called line AB. Okay, so ganun ang introduction natin sa angles na to. Now, if you notice ngayon, dalawang points lang. What if we have, let's say, 3 points? We have point A, we have point B, and let's say we have point C. Okay, now I'm gonna draw a line from A to B, which now forms line AB. And I'm also going to form a line from B to C, which now forms a line BC. Now, with all these combined lines, no, na meron tayo, if you notice that they form or they meet at point B. Since they basically join at one point, this is called their meeting point. And because of these 2 lines meeting at one point, at their common point, this opening here, if you notice, you have like an opening. That is called an angle. Okay? And since we're talking about angles, this exact point here is called a vertex. So which means angles are referred to openings with a combination of 2 lines. For example, ito. These 2 lines are combined, which means this an angle is formed. This is also an angle. This is also an opening. It opened from this point going to this point, so which means this is also an angle. Okay? So angle yan siya. No matter how wide you open, for example, from this point, and then i-open nyo until here, that forms an angle. If nag-start tayo dito, and went all the way until here, that is still an angle. But today, we are only going to limit up to 3 types of angles. Namely, okay, we have the acute angle, the right angle and the obtuse angle. Okay, out of these three, I'm going to start with lang muna sa right angle because right angle is the easiest to determine and can be our base of starting of learning, no? The start of your learning rather. Okay, so right angle looks like an L. Okay, so they basically just look like an L. And usually right angles have this tiny square here. They can be of any position. They can look like this as long as they look like an L and have this tiny square over there. Okay. So just for example, imagine nyo lang yung kamay nyo ngayon. Make it look like an L, no? Form like a letter L out of your thumb and the pointer finger. So imagine nyo yan. That may look like a right angle. Okay? Ganyan lang yan. Kahit the other way around pa yan. This is still considered as a right angle. And think of it like as if it's a mouth. No? Para siyang bunga nga. Tingnan nyo. It's like a mouth. Okay. Since we are now referring this as a mouth, isipin nyo lang siya ngayon parang mouth siya, no? Again, this can be in any position. Like what I've said earlier. It can look like this. Pwedeng ganyan. As long as the shape is there. Okay. Think of it like a mouth that if it closes a little, for example, if it closes, kunwari mouth siya, if it closes a little, so kung mapapansin nyo ngayon, it no longer looks like an L. No? Kasi kung straight natin yan ng konti, the opening will just look like that. Smaller na yung mouth. Diba? The mouth is now smaller. And it can also get even smaller. If the mouth looks smaller than the right angle, it is called an acute angle. Okay? This belongs here. If the mouth looks smaller than the right angle, it's called an acute angle. So which means, like what I've said earlier, pwede nyo rin i-draw yan in it doesn't matter how it looks like as long as you can determine the mouth. If it looks smaller than the right angle, it's called an acute angle. But if the mouth goes over more than or wider than the right angle, example, or if i-draw ko na parang mouth nga talaga, ganyan. Para bang an obtuse angle looks like it's very hungry. Malaki yung pag-open ng mouth niya. Widely open, over or more than the right angle, it is called an obtuse angle. Okay? So, yan ang basic natin to determine whether the angle is an acute angle, a right angle, or an obtuse angle. Again, your basis should always be the right angle. Look at the right angle because a right angle should look like an L. If it's smaller, if it opens smaller than an L, it means it's an acute angle. If it goes over like an L, more than an L, should look like we should consider that as an obtuse angle. Okay? So, ganun lang po kadali to determine whether an angle is an acute angle, right angle, or obtuse angle. Now, to go further lang muna sa right angles, no? Let's talk about right angles. Spelling na lang si Teacher Mark. Okay, right angles. Again, like what I've said earlier, right angles should look like this. It's like a corner of your bedroom, a corner of your house, your living room area, your kitchen, which is normal that it should be like this. It looks like that. Para bang a corner of a square, a corner of a rectangle. Okay, so yan ang right angle natin. So ibig sabihin, if you have like a square, you can see sa square natin, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Diba? So meron tayong 4 right angles dito. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you have a rectangle, still the same. If you notice, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Then again, we have 4 right angles in a rectangle. Now, what if we have a different shape? What if, let's say, we have this? Okay, if you notice, as much as possible, try to identify right angles. Right angles na meron tayo is only 1 and 2. These two are not considered as right angles. And if you're going to apply yung angles natin, this is an obtuse angle. And this one is an acute angle. Why? Because this mouth is smaller than an L and this mouth is bigger than an L. So which means in this case, we only have 1, 2 right angles. Okay, so ganun lang ang pag-consider ng right angle. Okay, so that's basically